Okay, welcome to Down the Shore. I am so excited to have Matt Pittaluga, Hank Sauce.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for being here. I really, really appreciate
Of
it.
course.
People in Sea Isle City and Down the Shore are just in love. And I'm telling you, in love with Hank Sauce. And one of the biggest things is the whole story behind it. Can you tell us like how did it all begin?
Yeah. You know, it's it's been an awesome journey, and our origin story is definitely pretty cool. Coming from where we're at now from a college project is pretty wild. I guess I'll go all the way back to really when Hank was originally creating the sauce. Man, he probably came up with the original recipe when he was like 16. When he was working over at Bracca's and just kind of wanted something to put on his chicken fingers and stuff. And then we were introduced to it at Flagler College, where we were all roommates. Our sophomore year in 2006 or 7, we all moved in together. And one of the really ironic parts about our whole story is my other current business partner, Josh, who was our other roommate. Josh and I were not hot sauce fans at all, and
that's hysterical.
yeah, it's pretty cool. We weren't really into heat. Craft hot sauce wasn't even a thing at all yet. It was all the big brands, and Hank would cook for us all the time. And obviously, when your roommate's a chef, you're not complaining about what's for dinner. So Josh and I would be like, "Hey, man, you're cooking. Like that's awesome." And he'd be like making something that called for some hot sauce, and Josh and I would always be like, we're not really into that, but if you want to tone it down, that would be great. And he'd be like, just try this stuff that I make. I think you're gonna like it, And had a ton of garlic in it and like fresh herbs. It was way more like full body than like just like one of your main generic brands that was just like pepper and vinegar. So it was a new experience for us, and he'd put it in like a little Tupperware container, and Josh and I would be like dunking our fingers in it and stuff, and nothing actually came of that until quite a few years later. I took the 6+ year plan, sampled all the majors at Flagler, and landed on graphic design. And then in the fall of 2010, in GD3, I had a project to create like a brand. Create like the tagline and the logo and the packaging. And my first thought was really just like, hey, that sauce that my buddy Hank's making would be awesome. Then plus, I could bring bottles into class and get some extra points. At the time, a lot of people were doing like e-bikes were coming around, or like, here's my skateboard company or something like that. But it was all just like computer generated, files that you would show on the board, and you'd have a critique in class. So I asked Hank, like, hey, could we bottle up a gallon or two and give some bottles out to my other classmates and my teacher. And we whipped up a couple bottles. I think we made like 20 bottles like the first time, and put a little label on it. It was actually a different bottle at the time, different logo at the time too. And it was like a Monday, Thursday, or a Tuesday, Thursday class. And like the next week, quite a few classmates came up to me and were like, Matt, I crushed that bottle this weekend. Like, me and my roommates destroyed that bottle you gave us. Like, could we buy more? And that was kind of like the aha moment. It was like the real time that we were like, man, like we thought this was good, but like people are asking us to buy this stuff. Like we might really have something here. So like, hey, Hank, like whip up a couple more gallons of that. We'll order, I think we ordered like 20 cases of glass like the first time, and like it came on like a tractor trailer, and we're like, what's this? And it brings out this little delivery, and like we're like, whoa, like that's a whole pallet layer of glass. Like what are we gonna do with all this? And another really cool time. Our other buddy Max, who's our head sauce maker, who's still with the company today, he was working at a little taco shop down there, and he asked his boss if he would like put some on the shelf, and it was getting stolen. We were putting it in like a big 32-ounce container for people to like try it on their tacos, Mojo's Tacos in St. Augustine, and it was getting stolen off the shelf. And his boss was like, "Yo, I can't be having people like steal this stuff." And we were like, "All right, like this is like people like this stuff. We think there's a market for mild hot sauce. And at the time, we didn't even really see it as hot sauce because we were just like putting it on everything, treating it like a condiment. And yeah, this was like March of 2011. And yeah, that semester I had my portfolio class, so I had to really tweak like a few of my best projects to then present. You compete against other schools in like North Florida area, Georgia, and I figured like I can make this packaging better. We found our current bottle, which is pretty iconic at this point.
Tell me the story about the bottle, because that has plays a big part.
Yeah,
in this
it
too.
does. So my teacher Luciana at the time, who it was the one that made me forced pretty much my hand to be a designer. I was studying like public relations, just trying to get a degree, and once the portfolio class came about, and I was kind of like asking her some advice, like, hey, how can I improve, this this packaging? And she's like, well, maybe try a different bottle. That's like everyone has that hot sauce bottle, and I found this bottle, which is like pretty popular in Europe at the time, is like a olive oil bottle, and I just figured like that's an awesome bottle. The square bottle has a lot of pros, as far as like shelf appeal. There's some cons that we can get to later, as far as like packaging and like mass scale making it. But yeah, it was something that, like I wanted something that would really yell from the shelf. I was studying a lot of like consumer packaged goods and packaging, and craft beer was really starting to kind of become a thing. And like all the really cool labels that like craft beer were coming out with was definitely pretty inspiring. And the logo was a little different, and changed up the logo to where it is now. And that's finalized the full design in like early 2011, and then we moved home in 2012 to launch it. And
That the first time I ever saw a Hank Sauce bottle, I could not get over the try it on this.
the dinosaur.
The dinosaur. There's actually a dinosaur.
Yeah. It's something that kind of like just it's quirky, like it's fun. It transcends like language barriers and stuff. You see like right on the side, like, oh, it's good on breakfast, and chicken and pizza, and dinosaur. So obviously just like a take on it's good on everything. It's honestly just good on everything. So I was trying to convey that. Plus the square bottle gives you like 3 different sides to like read. You get 4 different stories really. You get the whole open panel on the back,
Right.
so you can really see the consistency of the sauce. And then you get each side to actually look at, opposed to like a circular bottle where you just kind of glance over it once and put it back. So the biggest challenge in grocery is the 18 inches from the shelf to your shopping cart. So like getting people to take it off the shelf, look at it, read it, go, okay, this is worth my time and my money, put it in their cart. That was something that was really taken into consideration. I put 6+ months into research, design, improving this bottle before we even moved back to Sea Isle in May of 2011 and launched it. So we had already had like a full 6 months of like, and we had a perfect focus group, our friends. Hank was cooking for all of our buddies down there. In North Florida, the college football is king. NFL is like, so what,
True.
And we were in Gatorland, so like we were always cooking, hanging out with our buddies, and people were just tearing through the bottles. So like another point to like the focus group of, hey, we're watching our friends absolutely demolish this stuff. If it wasn't good, they would tell us. So like that was another point that kind of made us realize like, we should probably launch this and like give it a shot. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. We're 22, 3 at the time, fresh out of college. Josh had a job already. Hank had a job already. I had just graduated. So yeah, that's when we figured, let's it's gonna be tough leaving Florida, but let's pack it up and move it back to Sea Isle.
So you go from Tupperware to national recognition. I mean, it's everywhere.
Yeah, locally it's pretty cool. We I don't know, we have 4,000 or 5,000 probably accounts at the moment. We're all over the country. We have distribution in every state, which is pretty cool.
That's really cool.
So yeah, our e-commerce is a big part of our business. We've done a ton of grassroots efforts. We've done beer fests and seafood fests and farmers markets and shows and stuff all over the coast. all over the East Coast, out to Chicago and everywhere else. We used to just, back in our early days, we'd load the van, go down to St. Augustine and call buddies all over the East Coast. Hey, I found a show in your area. Can I crash at your house for a couple nights, and leave a couple cases with them to pass out to their friends. So it's been a really grassroots effort from the beginning.
I have a funny story. I worked at Johnson & Johnson, and this is when early on, couldn't find it in stores or anything. And my girlfriend had a daughter, fussy eater, and she found camouflage. And she's like, Maura, it's from Sea Isle City. You have to get it for me. How can you get it? And I can remember buying it and taking it up to northern New Jersey to get it to her before, and that was a huge thing.
And honestly, to your point right there, that's having people buy the sauce and bring it to friends and family has been one of our biggest assets as far as being a Shure product. Having people that would buy cases of it at the end of the season, we're talking 2013, 14, bring it home, pass it around. We only wanted to move home because we had some local connections and we figured it'd be a lot easier than knocking on doors in Florida being like, hey, we're a couple guys from Jersey selling some hot sauce, yeah, get out of here, kid, But we knew by moving back, oh, hey, Mike and my dad went to high school together. Mike's will put it in the seafood shop and, we'll, shout out to Mike's, our first account. And
love Mike.
Yeah. So, it was the first, we didn't really see being a Shure product as an asset at the time. But the amount of people that, brought it back to Philly, brought it back to North Jersey, New York, wherever,
Delaware,
anywhere on, or California, and passing it around, you bring one bottle to a barbecue and next thing 25 people are familiar with it. They're taking a photo of it, ordering it right there online. And, the ripple effect just goes out. And, now it's people are putting us in that same league as Johnson's and Saltwater Taffy. We get people that ask for the mini bottles for their wedding. Oh, hey, we have a wedding in Texas. The groom's from New Jersey and we want to have a welcome bag full of New Jersey products. And it's wow, you're putting us in that same categories like Johnson's and Saltwater Taffy and all these brands that have been around forever. It's it's extremely flattering and it's really cool.
So I get the mini bottles for my open houses and people go nuts. They're they will tell me later, they're like, oh, I gave it to my son. He absolutely loved it. So for me, it's a great thing to have at my open houses. I was talking to your dad. So your dad and I work together.
Yep.
I met your mom when we were teenagers down the shore. Your dad said that you have absolutely no advertising.
Yeah, I mean,
all of this has happened.
Our advertising budget's been pretty small. Our marketing budget's been pretty small. When we do the advertising that we do get behind tends to be, based down here. We'll do some aerial advertising. We'll fly quirky banners. Stuff that kind of gets people to pay attention for a minute and, seek out the brand later. We do rental bag check-ins, rack cards in a bunch of rental bags. And, we're at farmers markets all the time. So, we're at Sea Isle on Tuesday, Ocean City on Wednesday. This year we're in Margate on Thursday. We're in Brigantine on Saturday. We're in Stone Harbor on Sunday. We're doing other events. So, back to that kind of grassroots thing, we've always gotten behind it because, sure, a banner is awesome, a rack card's awesome, but there's nothing in the food world anyway. There's nothing like being able to taste the product and then, having it well distributed makes it easier for the customers to go out and then seek it and find it. And, if they have to really search for it, it's going to be tough. But nowadays with Amazon and everything else, our website, it's you scan a QR code and you can buy stuff in a minute. So, yeah, we've had very, very little advertising, but kind of back to the word of mouth thing. That's definitely been our, our bread and butter is having just a good product that people want to go and tell their friends about and, share with their family, whether it's, at dinner or breakfast, wherever. So,
so besides how in love everyone is with the sauce, your restaurant.
Yeah.
How did that come about? What sparked that?
Yeah. So when we first moved back, we were making it in our parents' garage. We were making it in Hank's dad's house for a little bit, and then we moved out to my parents' detached garage, and That's not very scalable. It's not very sustainable. We had to obviously do what we had to do just to get it into the hands of the people. But in the fall of 11, we found our current place on 86th Street, and we all had good experience as far as like customer service and service industry. Like I worked at golf courses for a while. We all grew up schmoozing tourists, right? So we knew we needed a place to really make it to kind of grow, and we figured when we found the open shell, we were like, well, all we need is a commercial kitchen, but this is going to offer a lot more. It's going to be double the work. We didn't expect to come in and like open a restaurant, but we realized this is going to be it's going to be a phenomenal marketing vessel. Right. So instead of just trying it at the farmer's market on a chip, you get a pulled pork taco or something and you're dumping it on our buffalo chicken dip, which has obviously been popular for super long. So people being able to come in, sit down with their friends, try all the different flavors. Back then, obviously, we only had a few, but like for now, we have over a dozen flavors now. So when people come in, they want to try them all out before they buy them. They want to visit the home of like Hank Sauce where it started. It's really cool. So it's become a big part of the business. It's still a good piece of our revenue, and it's a good it's still something that we do depend on for cash flow and everything else. But besides for that, it's just become so popular that I don't know what would happen if we were to shut it down or something. It might be kind of tough.
Well,
so.
I can remember on Facebook you wanted to close for a couple of weeks, and the people were just there was going to be a revolt. And I think you actually wound up staying open a little bit longer.
Yeah, so the first few years we would close it down right on Labor Day just because we had, so many other events and stuff. And, Sea Isle kind of drops off right after then. The shoulder seasons, there's still stuff going on. But, midweek and in September, we're, working on, building our inventory and, promotions and everything else, trying to get the word out. So we did close for a lot of the season in the earlier years, and we've had to do a couple back and forths. The one year our building in Millville was a little delayed, so the one year, I think it was 2017, we were making sauce all during the week, and then like Thursday night, like flopping, all the table, moving the kitchen out, turning it back into a restaurant, running the restaurant on the weekends, and then Monday going back in and like making sauce again for the year. So we've had it was a little bit of a struggle before we had our place in Millville, trying to manage building the inventory, housing it, and then having enough for the summer. We would used to just make it all through the winter and then store it, and then be able to sell it for the summer, and then come September we could start making it again. We outgrew that a long time ago. So it's been a huge piece of the business. It's been a really fun journey. It's tough. We're still, we put a lot of effort into it. We still have to, put our hands in there a lot. It's, tough to hire in a seasonal business like that. That's only really, now we stay open all year, but, it's tough finding some help to run it, full time into the winter. But, it's been a huge part of the business. And, Hank does an awesome job down there. We make everything like so many things from scratch, and we don't have a deep fryer, so like all of our wings are like double baked.
So I have a top-notch research team.
Okay.
My kids, and one of their
best.
burning questions,
Yeah.
Sean's question.
Okay.
Why don't you have fries?
Because we don't have a deep fryer.
You
right
don't have a
there.
deep
Yeah,
fryer?
we don't have a deep fryer. So I mean, Hank's burgers are incredible. They really are.
Hank's burgers are.
They are insane. He's a burger whiz, but. We never had a deep fryer. We never had space for it. We did, we've changed some equipment over the years, but it's something that we'd like to have in the future, but it's kind of just something that came about. We got an oven from a good buddy of his, Andrew, who used to work at, Bracca's with him. He called us the one day. He's like, hey, I got this big oven. It's like 30 years old. Come pick it up from me and give me $100 and it's yours. And we were like, all right, yeah, big stand-up oven. We'll do wings and like apps and stuff in there. And it was kind of just like a natural thing. It ended up being, now the wings are one of our most popular menu items, and the fact that they're baked is, they're phenomenal. So,
they are phenomenal.
Yeah.
I have another question from my research team. This is from my daughter Megan. Can you bring back the Hungry Man burrito?
The Hungry Man burrito. I'm trying to think. might have been the Simple Man burrito. We've had a couple different ones.
They're not top notch. As top notch as
We do a ton of different stuff down there. So I mean, we're always putting out specials besides for what's on our full-time menu. If you check our stories, like anytime we're open on our social media accounts, we're always putting up like super creative, like awesome tacos and sandwiches and stuff that's not going to be on the menu. And we put a lot of time and effort into like creating those cool, seasonal and part-time menu items that aren't always going to be available. And that's always a big draw. So,
and I highly recommend for anybody, they really need to follow you. I mean, besides all of this, your Instagram is just amazing.
Oh, thanks.
It is.
Thank you.
It's just outstanding. So for someone who has never tried Hank sauce, this is something that I hear from people when somebody that doesn't know, that one person that doesn't know about Hank sauce, I'll say, have you ever tried Hank sauce?
Right.
And they're like, oh, I don't like hot sauce.
Yep.
I was one of those people.
Yeah.
I never ever grabbed a bottle of anything, but camouflage is my go-to.
It's one of our best sellers. Yeah.
I love camouflage.
Yeah.
Why do I love camouflage so much?
It blends into everything. It's blends into everything. It's got a little bit of a hidden heat. You get that nice tanginess up front, and a little more of like vinegar kick to it. If you're into vinegar-based sauces, all of our sauces are pretty vinegar-based. So, Camo has been one of our best sellers for our core four. We've had our core four since 2012 or 13.
Tell us about the core four.
Yeah, so everything started with the Urban Fused. That's the one. This isn't even the core four. I just brought like an assortment today. I didn't want to have a wall of sauce in front of us.
Yes,
But
yes.
Yeah, the core four were all spawned from the original. They were the first couple flavors that we created. We have the Urban Fused, which is a ton of fresh garlic, fresh basil. We use all fresh garlic and fresh herbs in our sauces. They're cayenne pepper based, so it's probably like a 5 out of 10 on the heat scale. And that's the one that I fell in love with back in 2007.
The non-hot sauce.
Yeah, it really was. It was we would always call it the hot sauce for people that don't like hot sauce.
I love that.
Yeah, it's kind of a long tagline to like put on the bottle or all over the place, but it's what we consider it. And then the cilantro or cilantro is tons of fresh cilantro, and that one my personal favorite out of the core four. Seafood, Mexican style food, Southwest stuff. It's phenomenal. And
Nice.
Obviously some people, cilantro is the very polarizing herb. Some people you either love it or you hate it. I love it. I could put it on cereal. It's like the best. It's so refreshing. And but it can be a little polarizing, but we do get a lot of people that are like, oh, I'm not really into cilantro. They try it and they're like, oh, that's actually phenomenal. And then the camouflage actually was derived from a messed up batch of cilantro back in the garage days. And honestly, at the time, we just couldn't really afford to dump it or get rid of it. So we all realized like, this is phenomenal. It's really good. It's a little tangier. It's a little more tart. But it's got a really good, like everyday, great for like a tabletop, like everyday sauce that can, I think it really shines on like grilling, like, slathering that on the grill, like brushing it onto some like chicken thighs or something, mixing it into like a barbecue sauce for the crock pot. That's what makes our pulled pork. It's kind of like our not so secret recipe now, I guess, in our pulled pork. But and then the Hank's Heat is pretty much a hotter version of the original one. Over the first year or two, as we started to gain a little bit of traction and the brand started to get a little bit more out there, we had a lot of people asking us like, yo, guys, love your brand, love the sauce. Can you make something a little hotter? And Hank's like, obviously I can make something a little hotter. So we added some fresh habanero to that one. And the other core four have a little bit of butter to knock the heat down. So that one we took the butter out to keep it, punchy. And the Hank's Heat's really popular. It's our best selling sauce at some of our other accounts, like Publix down in Florida. It's like our best selling sauce down there.
So is it regional? Do certain areas tend to the number one is different in different areas?
Yeah, I think that's it's kind of tough to like pinpoint it, to a specific sauce, and just obviously different regions have different flavor profiles that they're really into, but kind of tough for me to like pinpoint down a specific sauce. We do see like our cilantro performs really well at like Sprouts out in California. That one's a little bit more such a fresh flavor, great on like seafood. Awesome as like a salad dressing. I use that one for like a salad dressing, mix it into like a honey mustard or something. So,
Nice.
yeah.
Did you talk about Exit 17?
I didn't talk about that or the honey habanero. So, like I said, these aren't the core four, but these are the Exit 17 came out in 2023. Obviously named after our beautiful hometown of Sea Isle City. We like to say that it's bold, it's green, and it never points you in the wrong direction, kind of like the big sign coming off the Parkway. So that's one that Hank was working on for a while. Fresh serrano, tomatillo, fresh ginger, some lemongrass. Really, really unique for a verde style sauce. It's one of my personal favorites, honestly. Like my wife and I absolutely crush that one, and like we go through probably like a bottle every week and a half or so. It's really unique. It's if hot sauce could be refreshing, it's almost refreshing, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And it's probably like a 6.5, 7 out of 10 on the heat scale. It's definitely got a little kick. And the other one in front of us, here's the honey habanero, which is the honey habanero came after the Hank's Heat. So that was our original like hot sauce. That used to be the hottest flavor, which has now been replaced by our Iceman, which is pretty dang hot. But
that's not going to be on my.
Yeah, the Iceman's pretty hot. It's very unique. But yeah, the honey hab is one of our longest running sauces, and it's just really nice. You get a little bit of honey up front. You don't get like a overly sweet sauce, and then you get that nice like building habanero burn that kind of like hangs out in the back of your tongue and just kind of like stays there for a little bit. But it's not like overkill. It's like if I want like a classic like hot wing, like that is a perfect everyday sauce. It's super popular on our menu. We get that on wings
all the time.
Bought on wings all the time. So yeah, definitely one of our almost core four level, but definitely one of our OG sauces. So
I think one of the big things is that you're in Publix now.
Publix is huge. Yeah, that was a big win for us. Honestly, any type of supermarket outside of the region for us is a big win. For how popular and how big the brand is in the Mid-Atlantic, it's certainly a little different when we step outside of that zone. And I think a lot of other people in the food and CPG space can probably say the same for that. You get something that's like super popular in an area. I mean, you look at Old Bay, something like that was like hyper popular in Maryland area for so long, but until like McCormick or whatever came along and bought it and put it out there for the masses, it's something that you don't really get exposed to it. So that's one thing that we do find a big challenge with is creating awareness with that limited budget that we were talking about in new areas.
Sure.
But we have certain tactics that we implement. We take all of our Shopify information of people that are buying online, and then if they subscribe to our email, we'll say, hey, we appreciate you buying online, but these are in stores down by you now. Like, so, save on that shipping, go get it at, other stores. And then, the grocery game is really, really tough. I mean, we could do a whole nother podcast about that, to be honest. We've learned so much in the last like 6 or so years, 5 years. It's a really difficult space. It's extremely competitive. It's very cutthroat. I used to think that, grocery stores sold food. Like, oh, they just sell food. And, what's a 20-cent off coupon? You know what I mean? And then you extrapolate that over 1,000 stores and, what it takes to really like make an impact and get your velocity up on those shelves. It's really tough. And, you have to do X amount of promos throughout the year. A lot of the big stores, you work with a distributor to get it there. That distributor charges you a bunch of fees for warehousing space and setting products up. And then they want you to go to their trade shows, which are, upwards of $10,000 for a booth. Which is, tough for a smaller brand when you consider, travel and everything else. But, it's part of the game. It's literally impossible to really get widely distributed throughout the grocery space without, funding or, having just the proper game plan, the proper, team players, people that know the lingo, know how to talk to the buyers, know how to approach the buyers, what to present to the buyers. They're dealing with hundreds, sometimes thousands of products on whatever, whether it's a dairy buyer, a non-perishable, like whatever desk they may be at the time. They're dealing with so many people and so many different brands that when you do get that little window, when you do get that meeting, like you got to really nail it. I mean, Publix is a perfect example. We presented to them multiple times. Didn't have, the proper presentation probably the first couple times and didn't maybe say the right things. And sometimes it's the buyer, right? Sometimes you get a buyer who's overwhelmed or having a bad day or just
doesn't
doesn't
like
care,
hot sauce.
doesn't like hot sauce. We've had plenty of buyers. We're currently talking to a couple buyers for grocery stores that, again, they get switched from desk to desk. They might be in, snack foods one week, and then they get moved over to another desk, and next thing you know, they're buying hot sauce, and they hate hot sauce. So that's
can
tough.
you tell them, listen, I hated hot sauce too.
Yeah,
the
and that's
founders hate hot sauce.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, that's a great point. When we can present the brand ourselves and when we can tell the story ourselves, opposed to having like a broker or someone else kind of like, hey, here's my portfolio, and that sauce down in the end there, it's good, it's hot, it's does well in the Mid-Atlantic. Like, you want to give it a shot? It's way more effective when we can show our passion, tell our story, and explain what makes the sauce so good and why they should have it on their shelf. How is it going to, it needs to be win-win, right? Like, the grocery store needs to see volume and they need to see movement. They need to make money off it too. So you could have the best product in the world and the greatest story, and like, if you don't have the right promos or everything else lined up, then they're next. It's who next, who's outside in the lobby, come on, you get your shot. So but we've learned a ton. We hired a VP of sales, Doug Wilson, a couple of years ago, who has been really instrumental to our growth. He has like 40 years in the business, working with everybody from Mars to Ocean Spray to a bunch of different brands. So having someone like him to kind of be able to like coach us into how to approach the buyers, what to say, what to include on the presentations, that's been really helpful. But yeah, trial by fire for the most part is kind of how we've been going at it, because the first few years, I mean, we didn't really reach out to any grocery stores, whether it's Acme or ShopRite or Whole Foods. They all have Giant. They've really all come to us, and they've all been like, hey, back to what we were saying earlier, so and so brought this in, said they got it at the shore. You look at like a Giant in Delaware County, where it's like probably some of our best performing stores. It's like they're all familiar with the brand here, but they're only here for a week or two. Yeah, it is. Sea Isles, Delco South. So if they're familiar with the brand here, they want that taste of the sauce all throughout the year and at home. And for us, another cool thing about being at the shore is a lot of people associate our brand with like good times, relaxing times, like low stress. They're with their family, they're on vacation, they're eating it at their favorite seafood spot on the dock, and having a nice glass of wine or something. It's like that nostalgia and the stuff, that's the type of things that like really play into having like a successful brand that we see as like a huge asset to our brand. So
such an emotional thing. I as I said, people just absolutely love it. They I'll get pictures from different places, different restaurants around the country.
Yeah.
People say they have Hank sauce. I'm
it's
sure
really
you
cool.
Get that too.
We still get it all the time. I mean, just recently I had someone from like somewhere in Wyoming text me, and they're like, we just found this at Ace Hardware. Or someone from like Louisiana, that we went to school with, is like, dude, just found you, at Publix or somewhere here. Like, what? Like, haven't talked to you in 5 years, 10 years, but like, we know your product, and we just found it at a random store 1,000 miles away. It's really cool, and to see how excited they are and like their reaction from it, it's obviously like more than flattering for us. It feels really good, so it's cool.
That's so. Let's talk about your merch. I love. Well, I'm wearing my favorite.
I know. I guess I'm kind of blowing it. I don't even have any merch on at the moment.
But
I forgot the hat. I know it's going to be this windy, but
I know we weren't sure we were going to be out, and we have a live audience with all these boaters and everything here. We're at the Yacht Club of Sea Isle City, but your merchandise is amazing. Do you create some of it?
Thank you. I create most of it. I'll work with an illustrator or something to once in a while to create a design. But it's fun because we all grew up like in like the surf scene. You know what I mean? Where it was like big graphic tees and just the surf industry in general. So the apparel I always saw as like a huge part of the brand, and obviously as we grow and we're able to like invest more into it, it's something that is if you go back to that marketing budget, it's a huge piece of like us getting our name out there. I mean, come middle of the summer, it's kind of tough to walk down the boardwalk or the street here and there without see someone, someone's rocking a hat or a shirt or, stickers all over the cars. Stickers have
And
been.
if you're wearing it, people are like, "Oh my God, I love your sweatshirt." And I'm
Yeah.
like, "Got it at Hank's
Yeah,
Sauce."
yeah. No, it's a definitely a big it's a big piece of the advertising part of the business, and I have kind of treated it the whole brand, that is, like a lifestyle brand since the beginning. There's a ton more potential that we haven't even really unlocked, that, just because we're a little smaller and we got to obviously have our ingredients and everything else lined up before we go and like spend a ton of money on merchandise. But yeah, it's something we do plan to like expand quite a bit, in the future. And, it's something that, to this day, it's like I see someone rocking a shirt or a sticker and I'm like, yo, that's awesome. Like,
So
you want to
proud.
like go up to them and, you'll see them at like Phillies games, Eagles games, and stuff. You'll see people. Obviously, will do like their colorways, so like it works out well. But we were going to a bunch of the tailgates this year during their playoff run, and passing out a bunch of those minis that we were just about to launch those minis into Giant. So we would just go up there with like duffel bags and pass out hundreds and thousands of them into people, and the amount of people in the parking lot, that you see someone with a shirt, and then you go over and they're chatting with the group next to them, and next thing you know, like 75% of the people that you're talking with throughout the links, the parking lots are aware of Hank Sauce. Like, heck, do I know about Hank Sauce? I got 5 bottles in my fridge, or I just grabbed one from ShopRite or Giant yesterday. It's really cool. It's very I've said it a bunch of times, but it's still to this day like it doesn't get old. It's like beyond flattering.
So
It really is.
how do you scale up without selling out?
Yeah, that's a good question. It comes to a point in any brand that like you either have to scale up, or you don't grow. Like, if we knew from the jump that this could be a national brand, we all had a lot of faith in it. We all saw what it could be. Hearing that from other people, they see it. There were funny little side story. I went to did an event in Florida the one time where I literally had to like drive through the night to like get there and get set up and everything. And like, the guy that was like, the central organizer of the event was like, "Oh, this is a commercially made product. You can't do this event." I was like, "Dude, I just drove through the night to get here, like 13 hours. Like, this is made," I didn't want to tell him at the time it was made in our garage, but I'm like, this is not a commercial product. The fact that it looks it and you're telling me that is very cool. Like, thank you. It's a compliment. But yeah, it's, making everything at our restaurant in a 20-gallon pot it was so hard to manage the logistics of, keeping the inventory, distributing it, how are we getting, into these bigger stores where, a lot of them aren't going to, Whole Foods, for example, has been knocking on our door since like 2014, 15. And we were like, "Yeah, we're making it at our restaurant." And they're like, "Well, when you're not, like, come back to us, Yeah. So, building our place in Millville was a huge piece of the puzzle, but it's almost, I wouldn't really say selling out, because it comes to a point where you have to, like, we have full automation now. We used to do, pitcher and funnel one by one for 6+ years.
Wow.
Calling in all of our buddies, "Hey, who's got a truck? Who can go pick up, empty glass from the storage shed?" And then come in and unload it all. And then, the dining room would get full, and then we'd have to go hire get a U-Haul truck, hire some of our buddies, and for an entire day spend, like running the U-Haul out and like putting the sauce like in our parents' garage or a storage shed, like wherever we could put it at the time. So it really comes down to like efficiency, and like at what point do you want to just continue to be that small little brand, or do you want to grow and become like a nationally known product? If you want to be a nationally known product, well, you got to jump off the curb at some point, and you got to commit to something. And really, that's a whole nother chapter, is how we came about even being okay with that risk and jumping off that curb, because we had a really tough time with co-packers. We never fully went with a co-packer. We had talked to quite a few of them that would like, they look at the bottle, they'd be like, "Oh, you're using fresh garlic? Like, why don't you use powdered? Oh, you're using fresh cilantro? Like, why don't you use IQF?" you know, just go to a circular bottle. This stupid square tall bottle, it falls over on the line, and you know, we were pretty much being asked to cut a lot of corners, and it's something that we just didn't feel right. You know, we wanted to this day, you know, we still use fresh garlic, you know, we use fresh herbs. Like nothing has changed really about our recipe since, you know, 2011 when we came back and started making it. So it's more about like the efficiency part of it, like having to set up a place that can handle bigger runs, because back in the day we didn't want to overpromise and underdeliver. If we were going to say yes to one of these big supermarkets, and next thing you know, they want, you know, a case of each 4 sauces over 200 stores. Well, you know, and they want it in, you know, 10 days, and then they, you know, a reorder might come in, and that reorder has a window that you have to get it to them by. And if you can't do that, you know, like they're not going to spend a lot of time listening to your excuses. They're going to say next, you know, and give someone else a shot at it. So, but that, you know, moving into our place in Millville in 2018 was like the kind of that tipping point that allowed us to say yes to a lot more of those accounts and to really start embracing that next level of sales as far as like working with big distributors. And, you know, it's really cool. Like when you start from, you know, selling someone a bottle at the farmer's market, and then you see like a truckload, you know, of pallets go out. It's like, whoa, this is working. Like people like this stuff. That's really cool. So, yeah, the efficiency is really like, you know, the main part, because, you know, if you can't be efficient and you can't get your costs right and your labor's crazy and everything else, it's just not going to work, you know? So
anything on the horizon,
yeah. There's always something on the horizon.
There's always.
We're always working on stuff, whether it's a micro batch that's super limited. We do actually have a new sauce that will be coming out probably in a couple weeks. It's called Golden Hour, and it's a Caribbean Scotch bonnet sauce with mango and pineapple. So it's like bright yellow. Totally inspired by like, you know, our surf trips to the Caribbean back in the day, and just really inspired by that, like, you know, that last hour of sunlight, kicking back with the crew, you know, maybe having a cold one on the dock and just like, you know, enjoying your surroundings and being in the moment. So that will launch into all Giant stores, so approximately 190 stores throughout PA. And then I'm sure you'll start seeing it in some local stores down here as well. But that will probably launch around the 15th-ish of June. So keep your eyes peeled for a couple weeks.
Will it be down here?
Oh, it'll absolutely be down here. We'll have it at all of our markets. It'll be at the restaurant, and you know, hoping that a lot of our local accounts will be willing to take it on as well. It's really good. It's like a 6, 7 on the heat scale. It's sweet, but not like overly crazily sweet. You do get the pineapple and the mango like right off the bat. You get a nice little punch after it. It's phenomenal on some seafood. Hank was doing some grouper tacos with it this past weekend for Memorial Day weekend, and they absolutely flew. It was pineapple salsa.
Your fish tacos.
Yeah, they're really good. Yeah.
It's making me hungry.
Yeah, the Golden Hour grouper tacos were phenomenal this weekend, and they were really popular. So it's great on seafood. Awesome on a ton of things, but yeah, it's got a really cool label. It's a little more of an animated label. The labels aren't in-house yet. We don't have everything fully done yet, but if you keep up with our socials and stuff, you'll certainly start to see it soon.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So we are down the shore.
Yeah.
And famous people. Who have you seen that's famous? Who can you share? I mean, I know.
Ah, man, that's, you know, it's pretty cool how wide of a audience has come across our sauce. We have a family friend who works with some people at HBO. This past winter, they requested, there's a show coming out in the fall. I actually kind of forget what it's called right now at the moment, which is terrible.
Okay.
But
we have fact checkers.
It's a Philadelphia-based show, and they wanted it to be very like accurate, you know, Philadelphia-wise. So there should be some bottles that you'll probably see popping up in some like scenes in the movie, but which is pretty cool. But yeah, we've had a lot of like super random. Obviously, you know, Jason and Kylie are big fans of the restaurant, which is awesome. We're, you know, extremely appreciative of them coming down all the time.
That's Jason Kelsey,
for
those of you that don't know.
I'm pretty sure most
They
of our
are on the
listeners
island.
probably know.
Yes.
But yeah, they come into the restaurant a lot. It's really flattering. Pops in with his flip flops, and people are
I've
eating.
seen him with the
People are
Hank
eating
sauce.
burritos, looking up like, dude, is that Jason Kelsey? Like popping in to get some Hank sauce, which is pretty wild. There's been some some other ones. We're not like we're not like famous people, like idolizers by any way, but it is it's really cool to see anytime there's been someone that does have that kind of reach that either like throws it on their story or we'll see it like in a back clip of their kitchen or something. So yeah, that's always something that's really cool.
So we before we started, we were talking about down the shore. What would you bring back?
Oh,
what
man.
could you bring back
What would I bring back?
that no longer exists down the shore?
Yeah, if we're talking establishments in Sea Isle, I got a couple, but I got to go with our old neighbor, Bush's. My grandmother cooked at Bush's for decades, and I grew up on the deviled crab balls. We always had those, stocked in the freezer.
So amazing.
Yeah, that would be really cool. And then I'd have to go like Welsh's, Pat's. Pat's Bayside Market was awesome. I used to
Grand Slam.
Man, I remember like being young and the same grandmother I just mentioned, like hey, go get some milk from Pat's. Walking in, the smell of Pat's. Like anybody listening that remembers this, like you absolutely know the smell of Pat's. Like you can still smell it. And then obviously Welsh's was just like an absolute staple for us growing up, and becoming of age, if you will. Going to the bars and enjoying some Welsh's after was always big for us. Welsh's was an absolute staple in our childhood. So yeah, there's been so many, but those ones definitely stand out. It was sad seeing Bush's go, like when they like tore it down. We were watching from right across the street, and even just last week, the kitchen finally came down. So it was like the last little piece is gone. But hey, that's life. Things keep moving. So you got the memories and whatnot to. I actually have a really cool book. One of the houses I was renting in Sea Isle a few years ago. It was like a centennial, book of the advertising from, I guess it would have been like in the 80s, maybe 86. I don't remember exactly what year Sea Isle was incorporated, but pretty sure it was like a 1986 book. And, flipping through like and seeing the ads in there, a lot of the places that were like, still around or close to still around. It's just really cool, like very nostalgic seeing like, those places that you're like, wow, like look at all these old places. Cause we get a lot of people that come in and, or ask us about, oh, you have a restaurant in Sea Isle. Didn't even know you had that. Where's that? And I tell them and they're like, oh, is that like where the charcoal house was and this and that? And you get all these, all these like throwback names where I'm like, man, I don't even really remember that one. Like what year was that? And
they did the best black and white milkshakes, malted milkshakes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness. I can, that was amazing.
Yeah, see, you can still taste it. So
yeah, exactly.
It's pretty
cool.
cool.
And then the old names of things like the Dolphin was Shenanigans, or Shenanigans was Dolphin, and Chronikers was La Costa.
Yeah.
Garrity's.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure people.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when we do a lot of these events, we get people that ask us, and it's just like funny hearing all the old, names of places that they were throwing around that I'm like, I don't know. I just turned 38. I don't even remember that place, to be honest. Like what year was that open? So it's pretty cool, to reminisce on all the old establishments. So
that's so cool. So we end each podcast with a catch of the day.
Okay.
And I get to pick it because it's our podcast.
Okay, yeah, you're the host.
So I'm going to pick camouflage, and I would suggest anybody who has never that should be the one that you start with, is camouflage. And
I will take that 100%. I usually guide them towards the original just because that's like the one that we started with. Any of our core four, though, it's a great way to get introduced to the brand. It's got hints of like the traditional cayenne based hot sauce, but way more of like full-bodied flavor and just, something that you really just want to like dump on everything. You find yourself putting it on everything. And then, the more you get into our other flavors, they start to get a little crazier. We have a collab sauce with Ocean Casino. across the boards, which is really like the first sweet sauce that we made. That one's really nice if you're not into like super hot. It's super mild. It's red Fresno pepper with pineapple, agave, tequila, so it's a little sweeter up front. And yeah, I mean, honestly, we have so many options now that you can pretty much dive right in wherever, and you're gonna find something that
How
is,
many
you know.
altogether? I didn't even.
I have about a dozen right now.
Dozen?
And like I said, we have Golden Hour coming soon, and we have a couple other ones that are, you know, in the pipeline down the road, working on some collabs that are, you know, with some other cool companies that will be coming out in the future as well. I can't, you know, speak too much on. So, and then we have our dry rub for people that don't like any.
Forgot about that.
Yeah, the dry rub. We can't single that out. That's the house seasoning from our restaurant. So Hank has been using that. He created that blend, man, over a decade ago, and really just started selling it recently. It's not as widely distributed, so it's a little bit harder to find. But I will honestly say I'm using it at my house like as much as I use the sauce now. It's like omelets, like, you know, instead of salt, like a little sprinkle of that. It's really phenomenal. And we just actually got that into Ace Hardware, so that's launching into a lot of Aces nationwide. Coming up soon. It is available at Giant. It's available at a lot of local independents and some local grocery stores as well. Down at the beach, it's a little easier to find, but outside of this area, it's a little harder to find. But hey, internet's a beautiful thing. You can always, you know, get it from our website and stuff. So
that is.
Yeah.
Well, Matt, I cannot thank you enough.
Of course. Yeah, thank you for having me on.
I feel like we could go on and on, so I'm thinking that at some point we'll get you back on.
Hey, if you want a chapter 2, we can.
So
we can certainly do that. We're always down to, you know.
And I know so many
story.
people, when I told them that you're going to be on the podcast, they were very excited to learn more about it. I know I'm going to see you at the farmers market every Tuesday in Seattle, and some of the other ones that you mentioned down the shore. So I really appreciate it.
Of course.
And I wish you nothing but success.
Thank you. Yeah, we're you know, we're persistent, and that's been honestly one of the biggest things for us. Is, you know, we could have, you know, taken our losses and walked home with our head down many times. You know, it's certainly not been all wins and rainbows and, you know, seashells constantly. We've had a lot of struggles and have a lot of you know, things to overcome. But, you know, we're a persistent bunch, and, you know, that's kind of our key to success, really.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having us.